Okay, boys and girls, this is how you don't do it. See the tracks not turning? That's because they didn't pull the planetaries. Pull the planetaries, then the tracks roll effortlessly. Don't do it like that. That's wrong. Yeah. So that's how we start this video. The wrong way. Okay, everybody, so our next project, it is a mini. Yay, it's a mini excavator. To be more exact, it is a John Deere 50G. It's a little bitty fella. Now, what are you doing to it, Mike? I'm glad you asked. Remember the Kubota skid steer? It's a similar story. If you haven't seen the Kubota skid steer, by the way, over there, the right, I don't know, it's somewhere. I'm gonna put a link in here, I hope. But it's a similar story. They got it inverted, you know, I don't know, front, back, somewhere or another. It was in the wrong position, and there was no oil in the oil pan. Motors don't work like that, y'all. I'm just saying, you know, maybe take some note of that. But it's got a few other things going on as well. Notice that line was off. That one there's off because I took it off. But I'm not for sure why the other one was already off. By the way, do you remember the attachment that we fabricated? Maybe I'll put a video to it. You know, somewhere over here. Just look around here somewhere. Oh. Yeah, it would have aired by now. Remember the fabrication video. That attachment was made for one of these. So as you can see, I've chained the roll. See these wheels here? Those are rollers, and they're on the front and the back, because as you can see, rail construction, they use these on the railroads. So this particular one's retrofit so that it can be used in such capacity. But anyway, we're gonna get this in here, and then we'll pull the motor out. You know this drill by now. So next time you see it, it'll be inside. Well, Mike, you say that 50G ain't in the shop. You said it'd be in the shop the next time we see it. I sure did, didn't I? Well, it ain't getting in here, because if we did, you see, we've got to take this off. And then tilt the cab forward, take these skins off, and that engine is going to come out right here. Yeah. On the side. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen in there. So we're going to have to do it out here. And yeah, the weather's just pleasant, so we'll work until it starts raining, and then we'll go inside and work on a different project. But it is what it is. Let me get set up and we'll get started. So first things first, first thing I'm gonna do is take the come along off. It's holding up the front and rear rollers and the blade, of course, up front. We're gonna let that down, and then we're gonna take a hose loose on the boom so it will go down enough that I can unbolt the cab and lean it forward using the come along. Here we go. I don't know if y'all noticed it in the time lapse, but what I did was took a wrench and a hammer and a piece of cardboard, because you can see it's running down there and you can hear it clicking as this boom goes down. See, that way it's not spraying all over the place, or you, because sometimes these dudes will spray all over you if you ain't careful. So do yourself a favor, piece of cardboard, tarp, something. Besides, if it shoots out of there at high pressure, it could hurt you. So, a little safety. Morning. It's a different day, but it's the same Mini. So, little catch you up to speed stuff here. This, as you can see, was bolted here, and because of all that electrical there, you really can't do anything with it. I mean, you're looking at it, which is going to be a pain later whenever we go to pull this. So with that said, this bar here, I'm also going to see if it comes out, because it really needs to. I've also got to take off the AC compressor and the bracket, because I need all the room right here I can get. The other thing we're going to have to do is undo all of the electrical, all of it, because sadly there's not a connector that allows you to just, you know, disconnect it and leave the entire thing plumbed, which is unfortunate. It really is. With that said, that'll have this side. And once we get the electrical done, that'll have it. Most all of the plumbing is already disconnected, minus a couple of the fuel lines, which we'll be taking care of them soon. There's just the two there. And then it'll be time finally to unbolt it from the bell housing. Well, not quite. I'm also going to take the exhaust keg off, because yeah, there's no way that's gonna happen like that. So, but anyway, we'll unbolt the bell housing and then hopefully get something in there and yank this bad boy out. So, with any luck, God willing, this is coming out today. So, quick last look before we get this motor out. The little Yanmar in this 50G. When they say compact, by the way, yeah, they mean it. It's tightly in here. And by the way, look at the rust on the pulleys and whatnot. You can see this thing was submerged. And I mean, it was completely buried in sand. So much so that, look inside the starter housing over there. This thing was full up with sand. And I don't know if I pointed this out earlier, but you can see right here, that's not bright sun. That's fire extinguisher. So at some point, you can see more of it right there and there. At some point, this thing was on fire. So yeah, it's had some excitement at some point. Now, with that said, I'm pretty sure that this part was on camera. You do need to probably take the keg off of the exhaust to get it out. Maybe there's enough berth space, but you know, I really wasn't going to take the chance in it. So, and something else you wasn't going to do is, I'm pretty sure that there are bolts on the bell housing below the mounts. Well, there's no way to get there, at least not dignified. So as you can see, I've already disconnected all the plumbing. You probably saw that in the time lapse. And we're going to snatch this whole dude up, pump and all, and take it in. So something else that was done off camera is the exhaust stack. I really felt like that was going to be in the way whenever we proceeded to take this out. So I went ahead and removed that. And I also removed the door so that we wouldn't have to have the door closed while we were trying to get it out, and give me some access on this side. Other than that, I really think this ought to be pretty pain-free. So, all right. I guess this out and in the shop. And then we'll tear it apart and see what we're looking at. Here we go, guys. All right, so we're going to try to get this thing out of here. Maybe. are here for the 50G yarn mower motor rebuild. Well, we're just getting started. But if you were here for the John Deere 2840, well, she's all wrapped up. All right, everybody, as you can see, that engine is out. So next, we're going to get to the bolts on the bell housing that are below the mounts and the bell housing mounts, and then we should be able to slide bell housing, pump it all right off, and then we're going to do an awful lot of cleaning. Let me get this here. You can see clearly this thing was on fire, or they thought it was on fire, something, and it had to happen after they got it stuck, because as you can see, that's fire extinguisher residue, and it's on the outside of the sand, not underneath it. So yeah, kind of makes you wonder what all really happened, doesn't it? That said, we got to do a lot of cleanup, and then we're going to tear that dude down and find out if it's salvageable or not. So there's that. All right, everybody, bell housing's off, flywheel, all that jazz. Finally got the oil drained out of the thing. Got it pretty well prepped so that whenever I come back from lunch, because yeah, I'm starving. Whenever I get back from lunch, we're gonna yank it back up off the floor, clean up our mess, get it on its side, and then we'll start checking those bearings. So next thing you know, like magic, we'll be back. All right, everybody, so we got our little engine back on the ground, cherry pickers away. So next thing is we'll be getting the oil pan off, and then we'll have a look at our bearings and see what we look like. So let's get the pan off. Alright, so we're finally in position to start some diagnosis, but a couple quick things of note. If you did not see, or you know what, here, let's go have a look. Here in the oil pan, well, it's not as bad as the Kubota, but it's a tragedy. It's not good. And let's see, not for sure if the camera got it a while ago, but of course there's some particulates here in the oil pickup, so that's real nice. And wait, there's more. If I reach in, sorry about the angle, listen. Yeah. Oh, that one's actually kind of tight. So that's probably not a good sign. You know, I'm just saying that's probably a step in the wrong direction, because if you got to do a crank, they start getting pretty expensive, as you remember in the Kubota video. If you don't remember that, make sure you go watch the Kubota video, because the crank in that dude, I believe, was, I don't know, $4,000, maybe even $5,000, I don't remember. So, all right, let's pull some mains and see how our main bearings are looking. Let's start at the back. Let's give it a wiggle. Come on. Golly. It was the thrust washer. That's what was holding it so tight. So that bearing's pretty wiped out though. Yeah. But miraculously the crank looks fine. Yeah, as you can see, that bearing is, that's all she wrote. But yet that crank looks fine. So we're gonna stick this back, and we're gonna go to the next ones and see how they look. And again, the crank looks pretty good, but the bearing, not so much. But so far, it's not a crank. That's good, right? All right, as you just may or may not have seen, number 2 rod journal is well, it's got a little bit of got a little bit of bearing on it. So I went ahead and righted this thing. We're gonna go ahead and get the head off of it so we can get them pistons out and crank out of it and see what's what. So here we go. Again, the bearing looks pretty bad, but the crank still looks fine. So that's good, right? Alright. Well, at least it's consistent, right? Bearing's gone. Crank's good. Woo! Alright. Well, the smell is that's different. It's almost a candied smell, but the crank looks good. So all of our mains, front to back, appear to be in good shape. Except, well, I mean, let me rephrase that. The crank journals on all the mains are in good shape. However, it's going to need the full complement of bearings. Alright. So, what we're going to do next is turn it to where we can get all our rod caps, and we're going to pop all the rod caps just like we did the main caps and see what shape we're in there. pop our caps, have a look. Once I actually change sockets. There we go. Ooh, it spun. Yeah, that one is completely spun. You know what? It ain't perfect, but I bet it'd clean up. That one completely spun. Lucky that didn't lock up. And there's no bearing at all. Folks, I don't think that's gonna turn out. It might. All right, as you just may or may not have seen, number 2 rod journal is well, it's got a little bit of bearing on it. So I went ahead and righted this thing. We're gonna go ahead and get the head off of it so we can get them pistons out and crank out of it and see what's what. So here we go. Contents of the paper towel before you, of course, is what we scooped out of the oil pan. And as you can see, this Here, I'll just bring this up here in the area. I don't know if I can really catch it on camera well, or maybe these chunks of metal right here. But yeah, I mean, it's not quite the carnage of what we had in the Kubota skid steer. Maybe we'll have that over here where you can see it somewhere. But needless to say, I mean, this stuff would be like valve lapping compound. I mean, that's how finely ground that stuff is. So if you didn't get all of this out and you just tried to throw something back together and send it, man, you'd be right back here, because all of this would wind up just ripping your new bearings and whatnot to absolute shreds. So folks, moral of the story is, whenever you're doing a rebuild like this, make sure that you get it thoroughly clean, or you're just gonna get it all destroyed again and waste your money. So with that said, let's see if I can get this camera turned. With that said, that's going to conclude the teardown of the John Deere 50G. But I have great news. We've already been approved to build this dude back. So stay tuned, because in the future, we're going to do just that. We're going to build this John Deere 50G back with its Yanmar engine and bring it back to its former glory. Because remember, this dude had really, really low hours, even though it was clearly abused in life. So with that said, thanks for watching Lewis Equipment. Please click the like, subscribe, tell your friends and family. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching.
Please subscribe and hit the like button.
And don't forget to share and hit that notification bell.